First of all, I believe this wouldn't be the most important one, but I think it's a good way to start. What is what is the last game you played that you liked?
The last game that I played that I liked. Okay, so the last, I would say, because I'm starting it, I'm still playing through it. Would be Greedfall, which is, by the way, one of the games that probably in the future I would like to talk about. And yeah, that's it's an RPG, kind of based in the 1700s in, kind of French culture, I guess. And it's very interesting because apart from the cultural, the typical things from that era, we also have some monsters. We have the use of magic, so it's kind of a mix of styles. But it's an RPG, um, kind of party based. So you have like several characters, but you only play with one, and you would give them tactics and all that. And well, it's I think it's a very interesting one.
And how I was wondering how the combat is. I mean, how do you? I mean, do you fight or do you dialogue? What do you do in the game?
Well, you do die, okay, if you mess up, which I have already in the first big encounter of the game. I did mess up, but yeah. So the gameplay is a third-person RPG, action RPG. Um, like in some other games, like for example the Dragon Age series, you can kind of stop the game to either use an item or tell a partner to do something different or go somewhere or attack a mob. But then the action the game itself is an action RPG with some turn-based elements, but very little.
An open world, meaning like there. I guess there is a story that you can follow, but can you roam through the world?
I Okay, so I've played 3 hours and a half, more or less, which is kind of like a masked tutorial. So you start in a small city, in a small town, I guess. Yeah. Obviously not that many people. And well, they give you some errands to do. Talk to this guy because we need this solved, and talk to the guy and help your mom with whatever. And then basically after that, you are supposed to take a ship to an island. Well, you arrive to the city of the island, but it's true that afterwards, it's I feel like and probably it's going to be an open world setting in which you can roam around the island, fighting monsters and doing side quests and main quests and all that.
Cool. I must say I also have that game in mind. Um, and I also heard good critics about the game. I think there are also some imperfections, I believe, but since I haven't played it, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yes, that's a game that I would like to listen to your review when you do it in the future.
Mm.
In my
Yeah.
case, I really haven't had enough time to play as much as I would like to. But for sure, the last game that I played that I liked, it is one that I'm going to show and that I'm going to talk about in this podcast. That is Unravel. Unravel is
Hmm.
one of the great games I played this 2022. It is a game that I already played with you, the second one in the co-op mode,
Hmm.
and I believe it is really good. Although I think both games are different, Unravel one from Unravel two, and I believe you would agree with me.
Yeah, I feel like the first one is more of a single player, very intimate kind of experience, and the physics are very, from my point of view, on point. But it's true that the second one, I think the approach of Electronic Arts was to make a sequel, which probably wasn't even thought by the studio, this idea. And well, the studio went on with it and made a co-op game. But right, so yeah, basically the mechanics are kind of lighter. The weight of the different characters are lighter. um, all the things that you do in the world that feel, I mean, I don't want to say lighter again, but it's kind of that kind of feeling. You when you bungee jump, for example, um, the weight of the characters it's not quite right there. You kind of fly off the screen, and that's kind of weird. And I feel like it's more of a have fun enjoying this co-op game instead of go through this wholesome experience, which is the first one.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Totally agree. If I had to summarize it, I would say that the first one is more about the lovely experience, I would say,
Mm,
or
mm,
the meaningful story, or the meaningful
mhm.
experience, rather.
Mm.
And the second one would be more like have fun with your friend or with your
Yeah.
with your partner, no? Isn't it?
Exactly.
Um, I guess that you have a question for me.
I mean, I have many. The thing is, I like to start slow with the question. So even though this might feel like a really strong question, I want you to think that the following questions are going to be quite harder. Okay, so just take it easy, take a breath, think about it, and yeah. Okay. So what games are your favorites from each console generation? Obviously, from those you have managed to play to use.
I would say, I mean, the generations that I think, that I would say that I was into was because yes, of course, when I started it, I mean, I had the influence of my brother. He played video games before me. He's older than me, so I don't remember being at home and not having a console with us and not playing video games. In my childhood, it's been always something that it's been there, so it's part of it. And I remember playing the Sega Master System. I think the Sega Master System, no, the Sega Mega Drive had another name. Maybe it was the Genesis, I believe.
Yeah,
It was the
I
Genesis.
think in the US it was called Genesis.
Yeah. Um, it would be interesting to know why they changed your name, because if not something, I mean, Genesis, I believe it's a cooler name than the Mega Drive. Although for me, Mega Drive is like the game, it's the console, since it's the name. I know it. And then my brother had the Nintendo 64. That is also a really good game console, but I didn't really pay a lot. I mean, I was watching him playing, but it wasn't like my console. I didn't play that much. And then, of course, because in the beginning we had more like Nintendo consoles.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, and then my first console was the Nintendo GameCube. And I remember that I had many video games, but if I had to choose one, because now that I'm thinking of it, I think that is a really good question. My favorite game of that generation is definitely Time Splitters 2. I loved.
Splitters. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
love even now when I see it. I mean, I know that it got old. I mean, now you can see that some parts maybe are a bit, from like the old systems, no, like what the old had
Mhm.
before. But
Mhm.
there, I would love to have like a remake or like a continuation or something, because I really like the shooter, because I love shooter games, the shooting system, and also the graphics, also the story, the irony in it. I loved it,
Mhm.
and also the other one, the Time Splitters 3 Future
Yeah.
Perfect. It was called.
Mhm.
Both games,
Mhm.
I loved it, and I don't know if you know this, but there is like a project on the internet, or a fan project, but there are many people. I mean, there is like a Discord server that like with people that is developing the people that are developing this new online game, based on Time
Mm.
Splitters, that I believe it's called Time Splitters Rewind. If you look it up,
Rewind. Okay.
Rewind, exactly.
Yeah.
But it
I've never heard of it, but yeah, it sounds good.
but it would be only online. It would be only to
Mm-mm.
play, with your friends and to heal
Mm.
each other. That I must say, the multiplayer was really good, and I remember playing with you.
Yeah,
in
it's a very fast-paced shooter. Really fun. Different characters with different a wide variety of skills and endurance and speed and all that. So it made that. depending on the character that you chose, it was definitely a very different kind of gameplay. So yeah, obviously that was great. And I mean, it's kind of a shame if they do the rewind part, as you said, that it doesn't have the history mode. But at the same time, I think that the story mode was not great. I mean, it was good, it was fun, but it was kind of short. And in the end, the thing that I think it was more entertaining for everyone was the multiplayer. So
Multiplayer
well,
and the gameplay. I
yeah, no, obviously the gameplay, yeah.
I still remember that the shotgun that was a cheated gun. I mean, it killed everybody.
Yeah, the double cannon shotgun, you had to reload very quickly, but it's true that if you went close quarters to with anyone, it was like, yeah, one shot, boom, that's
And
it, let's
also,
go.
that now it came out to my mind, the speed. I mean, I remember that the movement of the character, they really moved really fast
Mm.
and really smoothly. It was I remember that liking it a lot. And also because I don't want to deep in this question. This then in the during the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii generation, I wasn't that much into it. I life circumstances, I guess. But then when I started again, it was with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch generation. I mean, not the new one, but the previous one. And my favorite game of that generation would be, I guess, Last of Us, but only because it was the first game that I played from that generation. From that generation, and also because uh, I could see what a game can impact can have this impact in the story and in the feelings in the player. I think
Mm.
I mean, there are like some video games that I have good memories with it, so that's why I feel some kind of feelings when I play them. But this game, it was like I really sympathized with the character there,
Mm.
and I feared I had some fear in some situations. I was nervous. I was happy. I felt many things while playing it. So I would say The Last of Us, definitely.
Okay,
What about
okay.
you?
So I've been thinking, since we're already 30 minutes plus into the streaming, and I still have many questions, and probably you have many questions. I'm just going to mention a couple of them, and let's move on to the next question because it's going to get pretty long, I
Yeah.
think, if we go on like this. So I'm just going to say from the NES, the Galaxy 5000, kind of a race game with ships, was very fun. From the SNES, well, I only could emulate it years later. I didn't have it. I would say maybe Chrono Trigger, second and Setsu 3, which was called in the US, I believe, Secret of Mana 2. Well, to be honest, many of the RPGs of that generation was pretty amazing. From the Mega Drive, the Golden Axe 2, I believe it was. I believe it was the second one. PS1, well, Metal Gear, and then the second, and more Metal Gear, and then more Metal Gear, and more Metal Gear.
But
So yeah,
you would say that Metal Gear would be your best game from the
from the
PS1
PS1,
generation?
I mean, from mm,
Because
I mean, I would say,
I
to be honest, I would say just from my own taste, I would say my favorite one is Final Fantasy VII. But if we're talking about what it brought to the table, what it was able to do, a new genre that it was able to create, because after that it came other like well, it was there was already the siphon filter around that area, but afterwards it was the what's it
the
called?
Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. That's the one. Yeah. So it kind of create a new kind of genre, which obviously it's great. But also the storytelling was very good. The ending had several endings. So it had quite a long run if you wanted to play it several times. Um, And well, yeah, in general, it gave one of the best sagas I've played. So I will have to be between those two. Okay, if I want to be fair with myself, and I'm not going to go after the PS1 because we can go here for a very long time. Okay, so you go again
Yes.
and hit me.
Don't worry about the time because I will tell you. Right now we are like 22 minutes, so it's good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Next question. I mean, obviously, I don't know about you, but my questions are. I will try. I will try to relate them, but they are not. Maybe I will. I'm going to jump into another section, and then it was going to be like, okay. But
Hmm.
the next question would be, um, why you love video games?
Oh wow,
Why do you love
Jesus
video
Christ!
games?
And I thought my questions were hard. Wow. Okay. Why do I love video games? Right.
Or okay, let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
The first time that you remember saying, "Wow, I love video games." No, sorry, not the first time, but or yes, the first time or the moment you realize that you really like video games. Why? Why? What was the reason behind it?
Uh wow. Okay. I'm going to try and say whatever I feel about it. I don't have a particular reason for it. I do have like side reasons, as if they were side quests about why I like them. So, um, one of the first pictures that I remember seeing around the house of myself, I've been obviously very little. I must have been like 2 years old, I guess. I was already like stood up in a chair with a mouse in my hand and trying to use the keyboard, right? So my father had a Mac, so he well he liked video games, obviously not as much as the later generations, my brother and I, but he kind of liked them. Well, especially car games and all that. But anyway, the thing is, I started playing video games from a very early age, and so it's been kind of part of my process. What I like about them is that you don't need anyone to have a lot of fun. You can just turn on the TV, turn on the well, computer, in this case the console, because I said TV, and you can just get into a world with different rules that you would have to learn and then explore this kind of world. For me, that was fun on itself. It's true that, for example, when I was little, I was kind of an introvert, especially at an early age. After my teen years, that went out of the window. Thank God. But I was kind of an introvert back then. Sometimes I still feel like an introvert. Um, and so,
I
well,
am definitely an introvert.
yeah, I know, I know.
I am
We've talked
totally.
about this many times. Um, what do I like about them? Yeah, I think first of all, they are fun. You can have fun by yourself whenever you pretty much want. And the good thing about the way I experienced the games is that at the beginning it was all about the gameplay, right? Being a fun game, it has to be fun, which it is still one of the main points, right? Main selling points of the game. But over time, I got to realize that there was more depth to that. For example, with the Metal Gear series or the Final Fantasy or whatever, it wasn't just shooting a duck, and then a dog would pick the duck and bring it to you, or just jumping through whatever, or killing cowboys. It had a story, it had some more layers on it. So I think that's one of the great reasons to play a video game, and obviously it made me closer. It made me feel a closer relation with my brother. But that's I think that's also a side part of it. What about you?
Me, I mean, it's interesting because you said that. So you remember when you were little, when you were a little small Gandalf.
Dugan. Yeah.
Yeah, a small Dougan. I mean,
Yeah.
like there in your cave, I guess, because
Mhm.
you said
Yeah.
you said your father had a Macintosh in the cave. I understand.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Um,
I was creating electricity by riding on a bike,
so
and
I
then
mean,
we'll
yes,
have electricity for a couple of hours.
obviously.
Yeah.
and also
Yeah,
your father, Santa Claus, right? Then,
exactly, exactly.
um, well, the thing is that you said you remember when you were little. I mean, I remember when I was little, but I think that when I was little, I didn't see the potential in it. I mean, it was like something. It's like it was like I had the TV and I had the console. I mean, it was like both things. Like I don't imagine a life without playing video games. It's like it
Mm,
must be part of it,
mm,
and but I believe that the first reasons why I think that video games were really cool, and then in TV shows and movies, I understand that it's more or less the same in the cinema section and TV show section, would be like the how like the universe that you can create inside a video game. Once you take it seriously, of course, because sometimes in video games the story and the universe in the beginning it wasn't that much important, or maybe it was something more limited to the developers, like the
mm.
story or the lore that
Yeah,
they had to be was something for them, like you can, I mean, like there was some details that you can find, but it was like secrets, like it was everything hidden in some parts of the game. So when I was small, I didn't see. I mean, I was really happy when, for example, I still remember when I played The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker. I think, I mean, many people I remember that disliked the game because of the graphics that it had. But I was little. I didn't. I wasn't into that discussion. So the first time I played it, I mean, I remember that everybody was like really really excited about it, and I loved it. And I when since I was little, I got hooked into video games, but I didn't know why. But then it's what I mentioned before. I believe that in these new generations, I understood why, and I believe it is for me. This is my opinion. Video games and the way they influence people are more important than I would say in movies or films or TV shows. Why? Because in movies and TV shows, you are passive. You don't. I mean,
yeah,
and for me, the
yeah,
best example is the horror movies. You always think like, why does he or she have to go to that way, or why does he have to go to that house? Why don't just be there, stay there, and don't go in there? But with a game, it's you who goes in there.
mm,
So I still remember. I don't remember what I'm not right now. I think it was like a Resident Evil game. I believe I don't remember which one was, but it was like I had to get into the house, and it was like nope.
nope. I'm not going
No,
there.
no, no, no. But obviously, that is the game. If you
Yeah.
don't continue, if you don't progress, if you don't go into that house, you don't see the story.
Mm,
And that is what the game explains you. I mean, things happen when you do things.
mm,
If you don't do anything, there won't be any consequences, and as a consequence, there won't be a story to tell.
mm,
But when, for example, you will remember the evil within. When I'm thinking the first scenes when you have like that psycho really close to you, and you have to move in order to escape. But it's like, oh shit, he's going to see me, and it's like, and you get paralyzed, because if you were going to watch a movie, you don't do anything. But since you are the one who can make mistakes and you can get killed, it's like,
and you will, and you
and
will.
you will, and you must, because that's also a really great feeling and learning that you get from video games.
Mm,
You
mm,
have to make mistakes in order to learn,
mm,
and that is, I don't remember any game that I didn't die. Sorry, that I haven't died. I always
mhm,
die all the time, and when the moment you lose the fear of dying, the sooner you learn.
yeah, yeah. I'm guessing you're referring to horror games because if you die in a football game, you are really screwed. I mean,
Yeah.
you should sue someone because of that. That can give you nightmares. No, but it's true that, for example, in films, in movies, um, I, except for very specific exceptions, I don't feel any fear when I watch a movie. I'm just watching it, and I can even laugh about it. But it's true that if you put on me some virtual reality glasses on a terror horror video game, I'm going to be scared shitless. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't want to go there. I just want to get this done, take out the glasses, and just go cry in a corner. So, in that sense, obviously, the games give you such a different experience from just passive kind of entertainment, such as a movie.
And also, I mean, I just mentioned the horror genre,
Yeah.
but for example, we will talk about it, but Unravel, it portrays love and it
Hmm.
portrays feelings. The same with Last of Us, the same with,
Hmm.
Fabio mentioned it the other day, Ghost of Tsushima.
Hmm.
I believe that I mean, I wouldn't go to the degree, to the extent to say that is more powerful than music because, oof, man, music is a really, really powerful tool. But video games, I believe they are able to make you feel more harder and more strongly than I believe than films.
No, but I mean, part music is part of a video game. If you were to play a video game and it was completely silent all the time, and you just heard sounds, I mean, yeah, some of them could give you a decent experience, but most of them wouldn't. You really need a soundtrack to really put you in a context, and how the character might feel, or give you scare jumps, right?
Hmm.
So, obviously, I'm not going to say that a video game is as strong as music. I just think that they they are like a partner in crime. They need each other. On At least when you're creating a video game, you need music.
Hmm.
So, well, I mean, I don't even want to compare them, because I think they are kind of
Yeah, sure.
different
I mean, sure,
products. And
absolutely.
mhm, mhm.
That's well, no, I'm sorry, and that's the last thing I'm going to say. That's why it's a pity when you see that a movie wants to be a game and vice versa.
Yeah. Mhm,
That's the pity.
mhm.
Your question, and let's make it the last one before the first section.
Okay, so yeah, just a few question. I mean, one last question before the last question, because I'm not sure about the development of the podcast. Is this going to be the last part, the last question section?
The last question, no, it will be me because I want to introduce the topic.
No, but I
But
mean, yeah, no, but I mean
no, no,
after,
no, not no, no. We can keep making questions. I mean, even I
Okay,
would say that it would be cooler if you do this. If we do it. So we
okay,
will continue to make questions during the podcast. But
okay.
let's make this
No,
yours the last
absolutely,
one in this.
absolutely. Okay. Um, okay, let's make a neutral one. Okay, because I have some of them that might actually fit better on different parts of the podcast. So, it's an easy one, I think, short one, which is there any genre that you are just not suited to play? You cannot just play because you are bad or you don't like it.
Hmm. Can you answer the question?
And myself,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, sure. Um, Point and click graphic adventures. For example, the even though I kind of like the setting and the thought of, for example, games such as Monkey Island or Broken Sword or Siberia. I like them, like, conceptually, but once I get to play them, I get really annoyed by the game, because, well, I don't know. Maybe in the future I will try one of them that I feel like it's very, that I like them. But personally, it feels very frustrating when you cannot go farther from one point, because there is a, I don't know, there is a leaf in a tree that you didn't click, and so you don't have the leaf that will be that you will be able to trade for whatever from another character, and then it won't lead you to the key that allows you to go farther. And so, many of these games also, like, they are not very uh, logical, okay, on how you find things or how you do things. For example, I remember one game. Obviously, this is a game from like 25 or 30 years ago, in which basically you went into an apartment and you had a bag with you, a sport bag. And so, well, one of the first things, obviously, that you did was to open the bag and then take out the items, right? And then, well, you took out the items, and then if you try to open the bag again, he will tell you there is nothing relevant here, and you were like, okay. And then like 20 minutes later, there was something that you were missing that you didn't have. You needed duct tape, for example, and you start looking around all around. And then like my girlfriend had played the game, and she said, why don't you look again in the sports bag? And then you open the sports bag. Oh, I have duct tape. Haha, maybe I can now move forward. And you're like, are you fucking shitting me, you
But
fucking asshole?
that's a trolling game.
No, but I mean, it's one of the things that happen with these point and click adventures, which is they don't give you relevant information until the character feels it's relevant. So it's like, yeah, there is a fucking killer in the corner, but I don't think that's relevant for now. And you're like, fuck off. I mean, I want to know that information. I want to kill him right now because I have a stick in my hands. Then later, you don't have a stick in your hands. Oh, wow, there's a killer in the corner. Oh shit, I have to run. No, you could have killed him like 20 minutes ago when you could, but you didn't because you're a fucking twat. And then I have to now look for other things. Um, and so these kind of games, as you can see, they really frustrate me, and they really annoy me. And there are really a few of them that I have been able either finish them or at least enjoy them. One of them being the Monkey Island series, but still there are some points in which they are for me very frustrating.
I
What
understand that.
about you?
I understand that Monkey Island is the most famous one in in the genre, and also the first one. No, it wouldn't be the first one. Sorry,
No,
of
no,
course,
no,
but
no, no,
the
no,
more
not at all.
how am I gonna say the the one game that is still exists today.
Yeah, and actually, that there is one coming. The author is he launched a kind of a trailer or a teaser the other day, and there were so many people saying, "I don't like the art style. I hate you," and it's like, come on, guys, chill. I mean, it's the first Monkey Island game in like 10 years or more. Why don't you let him at least show you what he has? It's very stupid. It's very representative, if that's the word that you're looking for, representative of the genre.
Me, in my case, I would say that I am not good at competitive games because I'm not a competitive person. So the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I can find the joy in playing FIFA, in playing a sports game, for example, or um, in MOBAs or like Fortnite. This is these kind of games that are really popular now. Than they are like online. But the thing is that I don't find joy in being better than the other ones. So I
Mm-hmm.
just have fun. I mean, I would play because I like the game, but not because I don't feel that pressure. But the thing is, that pressure, I mean, I guess, because I assure you, I never felt good when I won anytime.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I felt good when I had fun, but not when I won. And
Weird.
obviously, and obviously, and also because when you play this kind of sports, you find that there are really competitive people, and they are like, for them it's more important winning than sometimes only having fun. And when they don't win, they don't have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and but I understand the thing, because when you want to win, when you want to be the best in that game, or to excel at that game, in your practice, then obviously you will be able to do some techniques on to do, I don't know, like to some strategies or whatever that make you enjoy the game. But since I don't have it, I don't I don't practice a lot. I don't practice a lot about fighters game. I love watching, for example, the first game, so the first Street Fighter or the second Street Fighter. When I watch like a fight, I love watching it. But I don't feel like I want Ryu to win. It's not in me. So yeah, I would say. I mean, it's not a genre. It would say it's a character. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say it, because it's not a characteristic. Maybe like the purpose, like the purpose of the game.
Mm, yeah, I mean, yeah, one-on-one kind of games, right? For example, a fighting game, a driving game, maybe if you only want to win, sports games, uh, any, to be honest, any genre that has you play against another player. it's kind of it kind of fits onto that categorization that you just created. Kind of, I think.
Okay, so now I would like you to put you in a situation because it's the same situation I am right now with you.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
because
Sounds me.
I would like to show you, I would like you, because I am not sure.
You would like me, huh?
Do you know Dying Light, the game?
I do a bit. I haven't played it, but yeah, I do. I know
The
it.
thing is, I mean, later on I will explain about this game, but in order to talk a little bit about it, it's an open world survival horror, combat melee game. And I don't know if you are really into this kind of genre, but it's not the question. What I would like you to do is that imagine that you are working and in your company, in your big company that is yours, obviously, because like Santa Claus must have like a
Yeah,
company.
obviously, yeah.
And imagine that one of your colleagues from
So my reindeers,
exactly,
right?
exactly,
Exactly. Okay.
the like the red nose one.
Yeah.
You discover that he or she also likes video games, and
Okay.
like, from a commentary that he or she mentioned or whatever, but he doesn't know you do too.
Okay.
How would you bring it up?
Like, how would I bring up that he likes video games and maybe we can have a conversation?
Yes, I mean, because he doesn't know you like video games. So it's like, but you don't, I mean, obviously you would say, hey, you like video games? Obviously that would be the easy answer, but I would like it to be more, how would you introduce the topic when you don't want to be so obvious about it?
I guess I would try to make a reference, like, for example, um, let's say, I don't know. Yeah, for example, let's say we're talking about an horror game, right? And so I don't know, maybe we there is a situation in which it kind of reminds me to the game, so I would try to make a reference to the game through that situation. Like, I don't know, maybe I see a rat going through the corner and getting out of sight. I would say, oh, that kind of reminds me of the whatever, right? It kind of reminds me of that time I killed a rat in Resident Evil, or it bit my toe.
I like the point. I like the point, really. I mean, I'm laughing, but I like the point because I was imagining that, I don't know, maybe you see like one of the colleagues that is dying to sleep, and he's like, huh, that,
But
that guy.
now that we're talking about, yeah, I remember that this one time in Resident Evil, and you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man? Help him!"
What do you mean, man? And okay, so now the topic is up. You're talking about it. You're talking about what you like. Like, I don't know. You're mentioned Rudolph, that you've been playing Gridfall, that you like RPG games, and and that is the second question about it. How would you recommend? I mean, this is a tricky question because there's something behind it. But would you recommend Gridfall instantly to the colleague, or what would you do before, or what would you like to know before in order to do that?
No, I would need to, at the very least, play the game through at least half the game before having even a slight commentary about it, because I need to know. Well, maybe if I'm, if it's blowing my brains out of how good it is, maybe I can talk about him, about it to a friend. But normally, I need some time to see the pros and cons of a video game before I even
Okay,
recommend it.
so let's forget Gridfall. First of all, would you recommend a game that you love to that person, or would you get to know him
A bit
better?
better, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, because if I say, oh, Final Fantasy 7, whatever, from PS1, it's amazing, but then maybe he just likes FIFA games, and it's like, yeah, I don't even want to talk to you. So it's kind
Well,
of
yeah,
important to
sure.
know where he
That
is.
that I must say, it's for me. It sometimes surprised me how many different people there are inside video games. It's like there would be people that only play the same games all the time, even when they have like a huge catalog. I don't say it's a bad thing. The contrary. I mean, have fun with it. But the thing is, it surprised me. It's like
Yeah.
when you have this huge catalog, when you can try everything, anything, everything you want, and then you still decide the one thing.
Hmm.
That's something that surprised me. And
Sure.
that's the thing about. I mean, thinking, and that's the thing about Dying Light. Because Dying Light, it's a game that I would like that I found out recently, not that recently, but I finished it recently, and I found that it's really. I mean, I loved it obviously, but I found it really original in some aspects, in some ways, and
Hmm.
I believe that would be. I mean, for example, if I wanted to convince anybody about any game, obviously I would do the first. I mean, what we mentioned before, that is to get to know the person, because it's what you said. If that person only plays Call of Duty or fighter games or FIFA or no, or only adventure games, maybe if that person only like indie games, maybe I wouldn't
Hmm.
say that he should try Dying Light. But if I think that the person goes into that direction, I would try to always I will talk in gameplay terms. I wouldn't try to convince somebody into playing something because the story is good. I mean, that it would
Hmm.
be it, but I wouldn't be like, I don't think that would be like a huge pro for the game, because
Hmm.
that is not something compulsory for video games, at
Hmm.
least from my point of view. So, for example, in the case of Dying Light, I would mention the ideas that make the game unique, I would say, and try to convince that person from that point of view.
Okay.
So,
Fair enough.
because I don't know, maybe well, you don't, obviously, but because my favorite genre is the zombie genre. I think the zombie genre is a really um, I don't know how to say, like a big. It's really big. There are many movies, many books, many comic books, many video games that are the zombies in it, and I love the genre. And Dying Light, I believe, is one of the games that gives something original to the genre and makes it more wider, I would say.